Howdy y'all, Texan Train here, and today I'm doing my very first showcase on my LEGO trains. And our very first guest is Thomas. Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
Thomas is my first 4-stud wide small-scale locomotive. Now you may be wondering, hey Tex, why did you make Thomas in such a small scale? Why not make him in the standard L gauge, like this My Own Train, for example? Well, to answer that question, we gotta go back a few years. During the dark times, things were tough. The whole world was in lockdown, no one could do anything, and I was bored. And broke. Bored and broke is not a good combination. I'm an avid gamer, but that only entertains you for so much. I wanted a hobby. A real hobby. A proper hobby. Something I could do with my hands. And I figured, you know what? Since I started to get back into Thomas the Tank Engine, I might try a crack at, model railroading. See how that is. And then I found out, oh, it's expensive. Like, really expensive. Holy shit. So kudos to all these really amazing modelers out there who just put a lot of time and effort into these projects. You have my respect. So I was still stuck with the dilemma. What medium could I use to model with that's within my budget? And something I'm familiar with. Then it hit me. Of course! Legos! Now personally, I've been collecting Legos for well over a decade of my life. And I was familiar with the culture of Lego trains. I've always loved how Lego is basically like clay. You can sculpt it into anything you can think of. And after a bit of research, I found some really cool users with some really cool models, such as Kamada JDG, Wooden Toby, LEGO Railway Series, and Mike's Bricks. After taking in all the details of their models, and even talking to a few of them, I got a lot of good advice about how to make my own. But I still felt like L gauge is a bit too expensive. Because for some fucking reason, LEGO is really expensive now. Why? And then, out of the blue, I found these. Two users by the name of Thomas the Lego Engine and Larry's Lego. It was perfect. 4-stud wide models on small scale track. Not only did they use less pieces, but it's cheaper! And then the bug hit me. I really love taking the challenge of making a model as small as possible while fitting in as much detail as you can. Now, I especially want to give credit to Larry for a majority of the models that I made. They are essentially his original designs, but I've tweaked a few details here and there. But of course, I always give credit to the original artist. But for Thomas, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Alright. Hot take. I don't like TVS Thomas's design. Yes, I know, burned me at the stake. But he just looks too squashed, too small, too scrunkly. I know he's based on the E2 tank engine, but then they are like a stretch limousine. They're too long, in my opinion. So I kind of wanted to fuse both of them together. The squatness of TVS Thomas, but with the length of the E2. And here is my first design of Thomas. So to be fair, I didn't really do a lot of behind the scenes cataloging back in the day, but this is my very first render of my V1 Thomas. So based on some techniques by Larry's Lego, I wanted to have that curved front of Thomas's running board, so it steps down by one plate. I wanted to have an accurate front as well, so I included the lamp irons and Thomas's lamp. The splashers were simple, just wedge plates. I didn't want to make it fancy circular as much. The whistle's just binoculars. Just plain old gold binoculars. I thought that fit really well. And the couplers are the old style 1x1 clips. They're not the newer thin versions. These are the chunky ones because I wanted to give that little pop of detail even though it's just a fat wedge, essentially. So the wheels are actually a funny story. I was originally going to paint the wheels from black to whatever blue I chose for Thomas. But then I found out that LEGO makes these small train wheels in medium azure, or light blue. Now technically LEGO's dark azure is more accurate to Thomas's TVS colors, but LEGO has no diversity of colors for this wheel, let alone any other train parts. Sad. But after seeing the medium azure wheels, I thought, you know, I kinda like it. So I decided to complete the model with this color palette, and lo and behold, I was able to make it with mostly legal LEGO parts. Now what I mean by legal LEGO pieces are bricks produced by LEGO in their official color palette. The only technically illegal piece is the 2x2 round brick with pinholes that connect Thomas's boiler to his dome. This does not officially exist in medium azure. So you might be asking Tex, how did you get that piece? Well, let's just say that my social credit score increased when I purchased it from a custom parts vendor overseas. LEGO, make some more colors. I am begging you, please! Anyways, onto the rear portion of the model. For some reason, I tried to raise the foot plate running board up for some reason, like to make it seem not over the buffers. But I thought the jumper plate and the raised red was stupid. So I changed that. It's not in the final model. But I also used the infamous Among Us piece for his back lantern. The bunker, it's still pretty much the same. I'm still not 100% happy with it, with the limitations, but I use stenciling to add the details of like the side vents, and you know, it serves its purpose. And lastly, I use bracket pieces to give Thomas's cab the window details. And after experimenting with a lot of different builds, I just gotta say, brackets are so cool. They're goated. They're the best LEGO piece. And with everything finished, I gave him some boiler stripes, some tank details, and a face. I borrowed this face from a user by the name of Corzamoon. So to add custom decals in Bricklink Studio is nothing short of frustrating, to say the least. So this is the best I could do. And obviously this wasn't going to be how Thomas would look in the final version. But for a mock-up, it would do. And this was before I knew where to source third-party bricks, but I changed the 2x2 round brick on Thomas's boiler with a 1x2 Technic brick with a hole in the middle. And my god, I hated it. I hate it. It sticks out like a sore thumb, but it's what I could do with what I had at the time. I also made Thomas a little micro figure to go along with this diorama. Now back in 2023, the Talyllyn Railway was hosting the Audrey Extravaganza 3, and they were running a little contest to where people could enter their own custom dioramas, and I chose to recreate a scene from Thomas and Bertie's Great Race. Now yes, it is technically from the TVS, but it's just such an iconic shot of Thomas rounding the bend and Bertie on the side of the hill. I added a custom signal post, added some shrubbery and scenery, and added a custom Annie, Clarabelle, and Bertie. More on them in a future video. Now, as much as I wanted to have Thomas, Annie, Clarabelle, and Bertie all completed before I went to Wales, I simply didn't have enough time. So the digital version would have to suffice. I sent in my entry and got featured on their livestream. But I didn't want to stop there. I wasn't just going to show up to Talyllyn empty-handed. It's been a tradition since the very first Audrey Extravaganza back in 2021 for talented modelers to show off their custom works for all to see. And I wanted to be a part of that too. So I scrounged up what bricks I could, expedited some shipping, and behold. My small little roster of engines, a bus, coaches, and boats. Now, I made the tugs models long before the trains models, but I'll get to them in a future video. But the general reception I had to my models was nothing short of wonderful. Everyone loved how much detail I had in these small models, and I learned that my models are about the same scale as HO and 00. And wouldn't you know it, there were other LEGO modelers too. There was plenty of narrow gauge and full-sized L gauge models as far as the eye could see. I introduced myself, and we all quickly became friends. But as I was conversing with my fellow LEGO modelers, I noticed someone in the corner smoking a joint out of a McDonald's cup. But then it turns out, oh, that's Piece of J! I love their work! And as it turns out, they love my models too!
Poggers!
So we exchanged contacts, and after the event I went home, making lots of new friends, and prepared to finish my models completely. So again, I didn't really do a lot of behind the scenes footage, so just imagine me building Thomas here.
Yo, tell me this doesn't sound like when you're building some shit in LEGO Star Wars, bro.
Alrighty, here's my V2 version of Thomas in his current state. The major changes I made were to his buffer beams, his bunker, and his boiler. Let's give him a spin on the turntable, shall we? As you can see, I've gone through the arduous task of hand painting all of Thomas's lining, his number, and his bunker stripes. Now I may be wondering, why didn't I just, do like vinyl stripes or stickers? Well, when it came to it, I wanted to keep a little bit of Audrey's creativity spirit on this project, seeing how he kit bashed and scratch built a bunch of his models. So I kind of wanted to keep that originality to my own. It may not look super good, but I like it. It's my style. I want to keep it that way. I achieved Thomas's livery by using some less than traditional paint methods. I used fine-tipped paint markers, some matte clear spray paint, toothpicks, and a penknife to clean up the edges, and I found these cheap jeweler's glasses online that I can use to look at the fine details up close. And after many, many, many tedious hours, here's the end result. Let's move on. So the change I made with Thomas's bunker was to include a gap in between his bunker and his cab to have a load of coal. Now, I had to sacrifice it being perfectly flush versus the V1 version, but it's a sacrifice I had to live with. And I chose not to include Thomas's rear stripes just out of personal preference. I like him more without it. Moving on. I'm also very happy with Thomas's overall proportions. He's got that slightly elongated length of the E2, but still short and squat like his TVS model. And lastly, for Thomas's buffer beams, I swapped out the 2-stud tile arrangement for a plate stud tile arrangement. It looks much more aesthetically pleasing versus the V1. And all that was left was Thomas's face. And I thought at the time, since I'm doing the hand painting of Thomas's livery, why not take a crack at his face? I mean, I'm not the most artistically gifted, but it wouldn't hurt to try. Right?
Oh my god, no way, yeah.
So yeah, this was a really botched attempt at Thomas's face. I was trying to go between Thomas's Season 1 face versus his Railway Series face, but I mean, trying to do this at such a small scale with my gorilla hands, I mean, just look at this. This is how big of a canvas I had to work with. I mean, you gotta give me A for effort, right? Nah, let's be real, this is dog shit. I knew I had to start over from scratch, but I didn't know how. And then one day, Jay hit me up.
Hey, what's up? Gimme monies. No, fuck off. I'll draw you faces. Oh, okay.
So basically, the main kind of design philosophy I have with these is I try to do them as close to how LEGO would do like these expressions as possible, but with like my own kind of rules to them. So basically, the trains' faces are a lot bigger than people's faces, aren't they? Because they're fucking trains. Like, if you look at a LEGO minifigure, like a standard LEGO minifigure, not like a mini doll or something from like Exoforce or that kid with the nose from the 90s. Like, you just look at a standard LEGO face. You know, he's got the pupils with the highlights, maybe some eyebrows, and a mouth. That's cool, yeah. You don't see the nose and you don't see the eye whites because that's kind of like unnecessary detail.
My name is Chef.
But Lego hasn't ruled out using noses in sets. Like take the Sonic the Hedgehog minifigures, for example. Take Mario, take Chewbacca from Star Wars. Even on human characters, Lego have done like Homer Simpson. Or again, back to Sonic, the Dr. Eggman minifigure. You know, I feel like if Lego does a licensed theme, they're like, yeah, fuck it, we'll put noses in it, it's fine. We'll break the no-nose rule. Basically, these faces I do are just the standard face casts, but 2D, if you know what I mean, with my own rules to them, and trying to make them feel like Lego faces. You print that and you put it on the front of a Lego Thomas, and you're like, yeah, that looks fine, that looks like a Lego Thomas. It doesn't look uncanny or anything. It's definitely a lot of my own style crept into there, like the C-shaped eyes. I've always loved doing that. I don't know, I've never been a fan of doing full like ovals for the pupils. In some cases, like if I drew Garfield maybe or Mario, then yeah, I'll do it, especially on Mario. Like I love big squishy eye Mario, he's fun. But like the C eyes, the gap where there's no outline, that's like the bridge that goes across to your nose to your other eye, and then like that part with the outline, that's more embedded into your face, you know, that's going to be shaded, you know what I mean? I think that's just like the rule of C eyes. I think I just explained why C eyes are like a thing that people draw. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, you get my process, you get how my brain works. There are a lot of faces where I tend not to go away from how they look in the show. Like sometimes I'll stylize them, like a clenched face, yeah, that can look however, even though the one I did for Tommy looks fucking hideous and I really want to redo it. But ones like Edward's smile, Gordon's angry face, you know, Thomas's sad face, you know, I tried to make them as close to the ones in the show as possible, just for the simple reason they're too iconic to change, you know? Like, when you think shocked Thomas, you think of the O-face, and if Lego did Thomas and had a shocked face and didn't do the O-face, or, for example, like, theoretically, that's the word I meant, it would be fucked. It would be a really fucked up thing to do, you know? Like, wars would start, and, like, people would start just dropping like flies. It would kill people. But then, like, if I don't stick to being on model, I will really push the expressions and do it kind of like in my own art style in a way. Like Diesel 10 recently has been, those faces are like very how Jay would draw them. They're not based on the faces from the show. For the simple reason, they were fucking difficult to do. I tried to replicate them, but that was hard. That was not fun. And then, like, there's the little scared face I always do. I always put it on fucking every character for some reason. I've got it on my profile picture. You know the face of Thomas, like, flying through space. It's lit. See, I don't draw as much these days as I do something like animating or painting trains or, you know, voice act. If I've got like the house free, it's like I could draw, I could voice act, I could animate, I could get my trains out and film, I could paint some trains, you know, I could, I don't know, hang out, smoke weed, fill our bellies with diet soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2. You know, I could do that, but I don't have Burnout Revenge. Sucks. It's a really good game. But I definitely do find it really hard to concentrate while drawing. Just, I don't know, like, getting locked into it is... It's harder to lock into drawing for me, more so than it is to animate on, like, Blender or something, just because I haven't found a comfy way to draw, you know? Like, whenever I'm drawing for, like, a commission or for myself, I'm, like, up on my side with my tablet on my bed, and I get really bad pins and needles. And I've tried having my tablet on my lap, but it's just not comfortable. I don't know, it's just, I haven't figured out a way to get really comfy snug with it, which is important for me, because I do literally everything, like all my commissions and stuff, just like sat in bed. Like if I'm voice acting, I will stand up, but that's like the only exception, because stand up while you're voice acting, by the way, it gets a lot of energy, gets you going, gets you up on your feet, and you just feel active and ready more so than you would sitting down. Why am I giving voice acting advice in a video about drawing? Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Once I do lock in though, I like really have some fun, and I'll do like little doodles on the side and shit. Like I always send the full canvas to Tommy. Like there'll be like, most recently there was Phineas from Phineas and Ferb. I've drew a few Marios, there's a few Sonics, little Homer on one of them. I remember Homer. There's got to be more. I'm pretty sure he has all of them. He'll edit this together and put some in, but you know, it's like once I start, I won't stop. But with drawing, it takes a lot longer for me to do like a really good drawing than it would like a really good animation.
Show your process.
Well, first I draw this head, then I erased some of the more detailed features, and 1, 2, 3, a circle thingy.
I think if I had to pick favorite faces, I would honestly go with the Diesel 10 ones that I did recently. You know, I think like straying away from being on model to the face cast in the show and just making a really cool looking Diesel 10 face, that was the most satisfying thing to me. I like Ladies as well, because she was really inspired, actually. I based her faces kind of off Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. You know, like how she's really sassy, but she doesn't speak, you know, she's got a lot of expression to her, she's got a lot of spunk, she's very sassy. You know, I kind of wanted to convey that in Lady. Like, look at her angry face. She's like a proper, kind of like pouty face, you know? I don't know. I feel like when I do art, my favorite ones are always going to be the newest, because the style upgrades like the slightest little bit for each drawing that I do. You know, like I always make sure I do better than the last one. That's like my motive with everything I do. I don't want to make something that's not as good as the thing that came before it, if you know what I mean. It's really cool going through them in like order of which I completed them and seeing how the style has changed. Like again, that clenched fucking Thomas face is that's not it. But then like you look at this Edward face, which is pretty old, and that's like really spot on. I think I pretty much just like sketched that off Edward's face that I had on my phone. I think it was like a Redbubble thing. I don't know, but it was really handy. It was a really useful like resource. Haha, really useful, bazinga. Bazinga. Like 2D versions of the faces just to get shit right, like the noses and such, because their noses have to be spot on or they look weird. You know, like Gordon has to have a big pointy nose, but you gotta draw it in a very specific way. Same with Henry. Henry's goes down a little bit, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, just important details like that are always guaranteed to be like, I will use reference for this kind of thing. I'm not gonna freeball it. Unless it's someone like Thomas, where I just gave him the same kind of nose I do for Mario, but like a bit smaller. But yeah, that's enough of me yapping about how I draw faces for this guy who lives in the same state as young Sheldon. Texas. Bazinga. But yeah, have fun editing this. I am gonna go and save the universe.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
And that's the end of the showcase. It's been quite a learning curve editing all this together, and a big thank you to Jay for their collaboration. I'm currently working on making building instructions for my Thomas model, along with my other builds, but at the moment, Bricklink Studios Instruction Creator is, complicated. But rest assured, once I have time to figure it out, I will release them on Rebrickable. However, if you would like to see some of my models in person, I will be at the Audrey Extravaganza 5 in Tywin, Wales this July. Just look for the guy with a deep Texan drawl hanging out with the other modelers. I will have an assortment of my Farquhar crew, along with guests from the Magic Railroad. If you made it to the end of the video, it would mean so much if you could leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more content planned for the future, and right now my priority is on a story remake. Check out my Twitter page for sneak peeks. So until next time, take care, and see you later!